Anti-Gaddafi fighters have taken control of the airport in the fugitive colonel's hometown of Sirte, the last stronghold of his loyalists. Reinforcements have been called in ahead of a fresh assault in the face of stiff resistance. Civilians continue to flee the violence in the besieged city, blaming NATO for only adding to their problems. But let's cross live now to Sara Flounders from the anti-war group International Action Center. Thanks for being with us, Sara. Locals say power and water have run out, as well as petrol and other goods, and NATO hitting civilian buildings. Now, how does this tie in with their mission to protect those civilians?
Well, from the very first day, this has never been about protecting civilians. It has been overwhelmingly a war on civilians. NATO is responsible for now into the 7th month of bombing, more than 30,000 sorties, more than 10,000 actual bombing locations. Again and again and again, it has been the civilians and the civilian infrastructure that has been targeted. Sirte is now without water, without food, without medical supplies, without operating hospitals. It is NATO, this is a NATO war where the so-called rebels are an auxiliary force that has been incapable of even taking any ground on their own that is not already pulverized, destroyed by NATO bombardment. This is a complete NATO war for the domination and control of the oil of Libya at a time of enormous and growing economic crisis in Europe and in the U.S., and they want to lay hold of this. It's an effort to destroy the resistance movement in Libya, and that has continued under the most heroic conditions and under the most difficult conditions, where everything is from the sky, using from bunker busters to anti-personnel weapons to drones to one weapon after another that are part of the U.S. and NATO artillery.
You're describing a very, very grim situation. Are we seeing a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding on the ground in Libya? I mean, who's going to help these people if NATO doesn't?
Well, NATO hasn't helped at all. They are only interested in the destruction and in getting the oil pumping again. And we can see this by the way in which NATO has carried out a war in Afghanistan to this day. We can see at the U.S. war in Iraq that there's no consideration for the civilians. 8 years in Iraq, and there's still not a functioning electrical grid for the population. There's still not functioning schools and pure water. So it's certainly in Libya, the idea that there would be any concern for the civilian population, that is never NATO's concern. It's a military operation entirely, and the idea of getting things, even in Tripoli, up and running after a month, that still has not happened. So,
one of your articles earlier this year, you say that imperialist military intervention poses the gravest danger for the people of the entire region. What kind of danger are you talking about?
Well, from the beginning, it's not only been a war for control and domination of Libya and for seizing hold of the oil and also the enormous cash reserves, more than $130 billion. But it has been a weapon against the Egyptian and Tunisian and the what's called the Arab Spring, the revolutionary upheaval sweeping the region. That an enormous war going on right in Libya is a way of pushing back and strengthening the hand of reaction in the entire region. So it is a danger. It's a real danger what NATO is doing. Its ships off the region, its control of the air, and having a military base. It's finding a home for AFRICOM, which is the U.S. NATO command and control for all of Africa. So this is really an opening war into the region, and the idea that it has any humanitarian concerns, that has never been on NATO's agenda. We can't see it in any of the past wars NATO has been involved in, and we don't see it in Libya to this day. None of that is happening. Supplies aren't coming into any of the cities that NATO has bombed and destroyed. Instead, small rebel bands come in totally incapable of supplying any of the civilian needs.
Right, Sara Flounders from the anti-war group, the International Action Center. Thank you very much for talking to us this hour.